Ah, boop. Oh, man. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei El Bob. And don't believe a word I say. I'm a griot. I tell stories, and stories aren't really coming from a prejudicial point of view. They're just a story. And yesterday, I got feedback from people who goes, "Who was that woman at the end of the show?" Blah blah blah. That's our good friend Lana, and she is indomitable, and I love it when she takes me to task because she does it not in a trolly kind of way, but from her, she's like I see her as Xena, the warrior princess with compassion. And I was Xena. Xena was killing everyone. And then one day, when she was looking around at all the blood and guts that she had spilled, she decided to turn away from that, and became, she'd still kick ass, but she wasn't like wiping out civilization. And that's not, she's not wiping out civilization, but she still kicks ass. So I love it when she's on, and I love it when folks come and visit. And so, with that, I'm going to bring on our friend. And he had called earlier, and I'm going to now call him back. There he is. Called the Klein House. How did you do that? Mm-hmm. Dee. Oh, well, he must be doing something. I mean, he called me and I was busy doing something. And now I'm calling him. He's probably busy doing something. Maybe I'll try the other. The answer is this.
Oh,
There he is.
listen. I'm in the bank. Can you call me in a few minutes, please?
Okay, on WhatsApp or on your number? Which?
Wherever you're calling right now, sir.
Okay, I'll call you back.
Bye.
Yeah, he was doing something. Okay. Oh, I'm just tired, kind of. There's no one there. There's no one here. I'll wait till my buddy comes back. Oh, let's try Anthony. Well, Anthony's not picking up. Here's a voice message I left Anthony yesterday.
Hey, handsome. I was checking. I saw you there on the live chat today and the other day, so I'm glad you dropped in for a moment or two. I can't read. I didn't have my...
Let's see if Sweet is here. Hey, sweetie. I just called you, and I know if you don't pick up, it's because you're doing something. It's not a big deal. And I leave you a voicemail after I don't get a hold of you, and leave you my care and love, and you return. And the voicemails are they're great. So thanks for advice until we do have a nice conversation. So I'm on a live chat. I just gave you a ring to see if you wanted to speak out to the crowd, and I'm going to tell them the last thing you said to me, and that was the only thing that matters is the vibration of love. Right? That's the only thing that is real. It's that vibration of love. So anyway, that all sounds good. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. You stay well. Okay. There we go. There we go. So 9 minutes. Oh, there's our boy. Hey there, handsome. Yo. We are on live chat.
Okay, first of all,
Yeah.
my apologies. Last time you were right, man. We were live and I didn't pay attention. Sorry about that, sir.
Okay, no problem. Between us, there's no need for apologies, but it's always a nice thing to get. And I'm always there for you. You're always there for me. So again, you're in a nice. The trees are above your head, and the sun looks good on your face. And so, are you getting ready to go to the gathering? What's your thoughts of that?
I have a ticket to Denver, and then I'll buy for a couple more tickets with Greyhound to get close by. But first, I have to pay a pilgrimage to my man Doc Holliday's grave, which is on the way. So it's one of my things to do, baby.
Okay, sounds like a good thing to do. So where is the gathering going to be? Is it going to be in the same place it was 50 years ago?
Well, 50 years ago, I was about 9 or 10, so I don't know. But Steamboat Springs National Forest or something like that.
Oh, okay, that sounds right. So do they show any, has anyone put anything up on the internet of the site and pictures?
Yeah. There's information how to get there, all that. But I didn't read all the way through. I read only where it's going to be. But there is information how to get there. Yes.
And that is, where do I look? Rainbow what?
You go welcomehome.org.
Okay.
Or you can just type where the Rainbow Gathering is going to be 2022 and it will pop up.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Okay. So what's tickling your interest these days?
Oh, man, I have a thought-provoking and a provocative and a philosophical and a wise-ass and sarcastic question for you, baby.
I'm ready. We should have a TV show kind of like Jeopardy. Ask Al, yeah? And you can be Alex Project,
Yeah, we do. I told you it should be called Al and Dave is all the rave, baby.
Yeah, I like that. Yes. So when we hit the road together soon, that will be the motif of our traveling imagery. It's Al and Dave is all the rave.
I have to find a way to travel with you, man, on the road for a month or so.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Not a problem. We'll figure it out. So what is the question?
Are you ready for the question?
I'm ready for the question. Yep.
Are you sitting down? You have a glass of cold water?
Yes, I have a lemon water and a cup of coffee. And I don't know how to do this. Maybe, but I got my phone with your face on it and my laptop with my face on it, and I got it right on the line. So we are 50-50. I'm half of your face and half of my face.
Oh man, that's combustible combo, baby.
Yeah, that's scary almost. Okay, so shoot.
That's a combustible. Any device that can handle that, yeah. You should buy a few of those just in case.
Yeah. So shoot the question. What's the question?
So here's the question.
Yeah.
I heard if you give the following compliment to any woman in the world,
yes,
and the compliment is, if you tell any woman in the world she looks good,
right,
you might get a phone number and even a date. But if you tell American woman she looks good, you might get a middle finger and even possibly a date with the police. So the question is, are there cultural differences or bitch is a bitch? What's going on there?
I think it's in the drinking water myself.
Yeah. No, you're putting it mildly.
Yeah,
you're just glossing it over.
There's a conspiracy.
You're glossing it over, baby.
It's a conspiracy, and it's in the drinking water, and
it's Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it from you. I'll take it. Okay.
But the other thing, to be serious, I think it's more cultural, because you're in Europe, you're in Italy, you're in France, you're in even Sweden. If you do that, that's an opening for a conversation, and but you don't really quite understand what's going on in America. I mean, America has lost its mind basically. And again, I'm serious. I think it's in the drinking water,
Well, listen. There's something there. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking along those lines. I said, I don't know what's going on here, man. Then nobody can take a compliment any day nowadays. Nobody can relax. I don't know what's up, man.
Right.
Can anybody relax and enjoy themselves just because? Okay, you don't need a reason. Just because.
Well, it has a lot to do with age, and so people who are really young, below 22, let's say, they don't have a clue who they are, and everything is Instagram and TikTok, right? And how many likes they get, so they can't even have a conversation. Then,
so it's all about how many likes. I like that.
yeah, it's how many likes, and then over 25 to 40, people are bent out of shape about their career, right? So it's all about their career, and so they're not even a human anymore, right? And then after 50, they're worrying about their midlife crisis, right? And then once they hit about 60, they're thinking about dying.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, and at 60, after 60, they think about dying. So nowhere in any of that is being a human being, Nowhere in it is like being fun.
I was thinking I had a midlife crisis, then I thought, fuck, I never had a life, so I can't have any midlife crisis.
Right. Exactly. You got a life. Yes, right. You have a life that amazes and amuses,
So listen to this now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have about 300 videos on YouTube.
Right.
And none of them gets more than 100,000, 120, give or take, except.
Well, you're pretty good. None of mine get more than 32. It's like if you're getting 100,000, that's pretty good, buddy.
No, but look. But I don't know why you see this with a lot of listeners, because you have stuff to say. If you read between the lines, there's a lot of good things there. But I guess people have no time for this today, man. It's out of fashion, baby.
Right. Yes.
They think you're just an old fart. That's all. Maybe I think that's all, but that's okay.
Right.
Now listen.
Yes. Yeah.
So I have all those videos, man, and none of them gets above 100,000 is max. Usually it's 4,000, 5,000, 100,000. Then a few days ago I checked. I have one of them almost 300,000. He's just going viral, baby.
What one is that?
And listen to this.
Right.
It's 1 minute long, and it's about two lions, shall we say, fornicating
and being intimate. Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Being fresh.
Right.
Okay. So I'm thinking, man. I'm thinking actually sex still sells.
Mm-hmm. Exactement. Sex does sell. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's
okay, man.
It's
so
hormonal.
I guess I should spice mine up. I should spice my videos a little up.
Well, and you know what? Everyone is into TikTok, right? And you should go get images of animals doing it and putting it on TikTok, for less than a minute, and
I never joined TikTok yet.
So as a totally separate thing, because, your amaze is amazing, and it's the videos of your travels, right? So you shouldn't, spoil it by trying to, get to the crowd. I mean, if you're getting 100,000, buddy, you're doing pretty good. Like I said, 30 people watch mine, and that's fine by me. That's pretty good. People who actually, So, so do you make any money off of your videos? I mean, are you got ads on them? Are you Are you
No, I'm
monetized?
not. I put it as you know, I put it as non-monetizing. I'm not trying to make $1 billion on that. Now, if that starts going a little crazy, then I wouldn't mind making a buck or two.
So go.
But for now, no. It's not.
So
It's
get
not my goal.
go get a TikTok, and put as many of intimate animal images there, and maybe monetize that one.
Yeah. Well, listen. Let me tell you what happened when I was in Italy. My very last day. I told you about that British girl, right?
Right. Yeah, you showed me the video. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, as you and I just said, I left that British chick, and I was going to the bus station to go back to Naples and go back home.
Right.
So, Italians are pretty shrewd businessmen, of course. And after the regular stores closed, everything in small stores goes up or double or triple price.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
And it was Sunday, so you couldn't buy any water, or any size of water below $1.50 or so, any size. So I was arguing with everybody about the price because I don't want to pay full price. I know what it's worth. So
Right.
I go to this store. I said, "Hey, how much is your water?" He says, €2. I said, "No, man, I give you €1.50 because it was a decent size bottle. I said, "I give you €1.50. The guy's watching. He was looking at me and says, he started laughing. He says, "Where are you from?" So I told him. I said, "Listen, I'm a poor, unemployed Bosnian plumber. Give me a break, man. I'm a traveler. Give me a break." So he starts laughing. He tells this lady that works at the counter, says, "Oh, just give it to him." So here I am. I pay this €1.50. I'm thinking to myself, "Baby, I'm on a roll. Let me try my luck further." So I asked this lady, I said, "Lady, are you single?" I was just messing with her. She said, "No, this is my husband." so there I am caught with my pants down. I said, "Well, man, I'm sorry, I'm just messing here." He said, "What the fuck is wrong with you, man?" He says, "Are you all Bosnians like this?" He says, "I give you a break on your water, you can get a break on your water, but you want to get my wife too?" He starts laughing. So I left. I went to the bus station, was just across the street. So I went to the bus station thinking, I'm going to buy them coffee just to get even with them because they put up with my bullshit. So I go there with my $5 in my hand, and I was walking back to the store, and I see the guy was drinking coffee across the street in a coffee shop, and he sees me, he starts literally running back to the store. He thought I was after his wife, man. So I said, sir, no. Here's $5. You guys have a coffee on me because I was a jerk. I started laughing. He said, "It's all good, baby." So that was funny, man.
Yep.
That's it.
Now that would have made a good TikTok. Yep, that would have made a good TikTok.
So anyhow, what's the topic of your conversation today? What's the punchline?
Oh, I even forgot. I'm just kind of tired. I'm gonna have my eyes operated on Friday. I'm just taking it easy. I hardly have any cash in my checking account, so I'm just having breakfast here, sharing it with you. No one's watching and no one's commenting, so that's so. I guess my real question for today was, who are we? Where did we come from? Right? Who are we? Where did we come from? Right? Because there's a lot of scientific evidence that shows that humanity was here for 1 million years, not 16,000, right? And the people in control of the universities, the scholastic folk, oh no, this is the way it is, right? So they don't want to look at anything, even scientific evidence that shows, like the big flood that actually happened. There was an asteroid that kind of hit Earth when the dinosaurs here, and it killed all the dinosaurs, right? And there was a similar thing about 60,000 years ago where a smaller asteroid, not a gigantic one, hit the ice shelves up on the North Pole, and it melted them immediately, like within 10 minutes, all the zillions of gallons of water. So it rose the height of the ocean by 300 feet, and that's where the Great Flood came. And that water swept across North America, South America, and that's why you find shells on top of mountains, right? So they found the place where this asteroid hit, and they had all the scientific evidence. And the guys who are the gatekeepers in the university said, "Oh, no, we're not even going to talk about it."
Well, that's why I never heard of it.
Right, exactly. And so, basically they want to control the narrative of who we are. Where'd we come from? What are we doing here? Right. And it's none of what we're told, right? The religions, the politics, the culture, the myths are because, I'm a stickler on etymology. I worked on that a lot. And especially like you look at the Torah, right? And you look at each word, take it apart. It's a code, and everything means more than what it's saying. So that was what my subject matter was today: was who are we, where'd we come from, what's going on, and if people let go of their preconceived notions, and especially before they go to sleep. I've been having some really wild dreams the last few nights because I'm coming, going to have this operation. My subconscious is a little, worrying about it, but I'm trying not to. And so I'm taking advantage of having these really wild dreams. And so, that's, I've been informing my question of who are we, where'd we come from, etc. So when you are not being distracted by the narrative, what's your feeling about life? Like, who are you? Where'd you come from? What's going on? Because you're not the average bear. You're all over the world, meeting all these people, getting influenced by every kind of culture. So it must be having some kind of effect on your worldview.
Man, listen. You are asking me this now here, and this I can't get there. I cannot go there right now.
Right. Well,
this is not. I can't go there because this is deeper, man. It requires a certain state of mind. Today I'm feeling silly and crazy.
Right.
I can't. I think this is too much, man, for me today. That's the deepest question, the most important question there is. So I can't get there right now.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, you asked me. You asked me what.
This gets it will get deep. I'm not ready.
Well, but when we're around a fire pit on our trip, because we're going to travel, and we are going to we're gonna go at a time of the year where it'll be comfortable to camp wherever we are. And we'll just, throw up our little tents or our little tarp and hang there for the night and move on, right? So that's what it is. And we'll figure out how we're going to do it. I mean, we might even hitchhike,
Oh, nah, man, not at your age and not even at my age. No, listen. What I want to do, man.
Two old guys hitchhiking.
For this trip, listen, for this trip, I want this crazy British guy. I want him because he's a little fucking. This guy is as flaky as they come. Anyhow, in any case, if he comes over here, he'll be our driver. Right. I will pay for all the expenses. Your job will be to tell the stories and to entertain.
Right.
And his job will be to drive, and my job is to provoke you fucking to go drive you insane.
Right. Well, you can't drive me nuts, but you will drive everyone else nuts, and I will make a comment on it. That's how it works. You'll drive everyone else nuts, and I will make a comment and deconstruct when they're going crazy. So wait a minute. How do you really feel? That will be our stick.
But listen. My father you asked me a big question. I mean, that's the biggest there is.
Right.
All that stuff. My father was he was a Muslim. We were by birth Muslims.
Right.
My father was never into that.
Right.
He was more agnostic. And he was rational guy.
Mhm.
He never bought into the whole thing. He would go through the motions of prayers
Right.
and all that stuff. But he never bought the idea, and myself never bought into any of those religious stuff. So I'm not going to approach that from a religious standpoint because I don't buy it.
No, right,
Any of that.
right. And
Any of that. It's
religion
a
is
story
just
for little kids, that's all.
religion is just a business scam, basically. But of all the
It's
of all
the greatest lie ever told,
Right.
my friend.
but of all the religions, right, that I've lived under, right, I found the Muslim religion the most open-minded and the most. I mean, their foundation is hospitality. You know, the first thing they do is give you a cup
Yes.
of tea, right? And as long as they kind of, see what kind of guy you are, and as long as you don't diss them, they're fine with whatever you say. Whereas,
We have a lot of in Islam. We have a lot of insecurities, and if you show us any appreciation, and you get a friend for life.
Right.
That's for sure, man.
right. So wherever I go, and I can pick up whether you're Islamic, I always say "Salam alaikum," and that is like the icebreaker of all. When you're just like walking around.
The Muslims go for that. Muslims love that stuff.
And especially if you're sincere, because I've been in I was in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, and everyone kind of uses it just like "good day." And when you are sincere about it, and people go and they look at me and so you're Muslim, I said no, but I'm respectful, and that's like way more than some other Muslim going "Salam alaikum." They like, well, okay, you're an interesting guy.
See, that's it.
So
That's true.
and I was
So anyhow,
yes.
so to get back to your point, if I ever answer your question, man, I don't think I have my opinion, but it's not going to be from a religious standpoint.
No, I'm not even asking
So
it.
it would have to be a little rational.
Right. I'm not taking it from a religious standpoint. I'm coming from what does your heart feel? When you can look in your heart and see what it is. Most like our gut, our stomach to our intestines, we have over 6 billion little creatures in there, right? Individual little creatures, right? So people talk about their gut reaction. When you let your gut inform you, you're doing a lot better than your head. Your head is like full of pudding. You ever seen a brain? Brain looks like it's pudding, That's why they call people with pudding heads, It's like, it's anyway. So that's a whole nother story. But yep, that's.
So yesterday I was. It was a beautiful day. I drove to the cemetery and heard some guy talking about his argument against religion.
Right.
So he says his whole thing is he says 2,000 or no. 20 million children under 5 die every year. He says, what kind of a sick God will allow these kids to die if they don't go to heaven without being baptized? So what kind of a sick God will allow them to die before being baptized and saved? And so the whole religious stuff, I never bought it. Never went for that. Never really. It's just a story for little kids. That's all.
Yeah, it's a boogeyman story.
So
keep you in line.
So why is human soul worth more than a seagull soul? It's the same soul.
It's the same soul. Yeah.
Just another form of life.
Right. It's the indigenous folk say all our relations, meaning everybody is in, and they don't. Very interesting. Jesus Christ never uses the word soul. He's always talking about spirit. And when you go into the Hebrew and the Armenian, spirit means this connection with the great creator, that we are part of that spirit. So we're all the seagull and you and me, we are in that spirit, right? And back in the days before original sin and eating the apple, everybody was living in the Garden of Eden, getting along great because they were all in spirit. So that's exactly what you're saying. There is no, your soul isn't any more important than a seagull's soul, or even a paraseme, like a microbe. We're on the same, we are all the same spirit, right? So we are just somewhat conscious, but we don't even know. Meaning, science has made us realize that animals like dolphins and dogs and cats, and they all have consciousness. They know who they are. They know what's going on. They just, express it in a different way, right? So, yep. Now you talk to, somebody who believes in religion. Now they'll lose your mind on this conversation. They can't handle this, right?
Well, that's the gazillion-dollar question. That's just
Well, they do that because
So-
they're scared. They don't want to live. How many people can live like you and I? Not many.
well, we don't walk a straight line, baby.
No.
We don't do that.
And see, you are really blessed because you have your queen. I mean, you have this thing that balances you out. Your queen is there. I mean, just think, you couldn't have the life you have if your queen wasn't with you, man. You just couldn't.
You know something? You could see it from day one. I don't even. I cannot even fathom how lucky motherfucker I am.
You are. Yes. Yeah. The first time we met, before I even knew you had a queen, I knew you had a queen, So, yes.
You know, the other day I was talking to one of my in-laws,
Yep.
and they thanked me for something. I was doing something for them. They thanked me. I said, man, I mean, I know it's customary to thank me, but if you think about it, I and you, especially me, we should be thankful. I should be thankful to God. I
For
don't
everything.
believe in God, but that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So I should be thankful to God that I'm in position that I am in, that I can help, I
Right.
can give.
Right.
I mean, this is a freaking something extraordinary.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and that's why I do what I do is to give back. I don't have cash to give back like I used to be able to do, but what I do with people that I just meet on the street, it's I can, and I don't interact with people who won't be able to appreciate, right? And sometimes I'm kind of cornered into doing it. And it's interesting how some people can't appreciate what I do. They get threatened by it. It's like, you're intimidating me. I'm telling them things about themselves. You're intimidating me. They say, okay, good luck with that.
Well, if you cannot face yourself in the mirror, fucking, then what's the fucking deal? You know how many children? This is not about bragging, but I never told this to anybody except one person.
What?
You know how many children I sponsor? I pay scholarship for 99.
That's great. And what's great is that you can do that. I mean, that's a blessing on you.
That's 99 children. My wife we paid for 90. It's in Africa. Yeah, we have to pay yearly. They have a meal and they can go to school.
Yeah.
So my wife, we had some money. She paid for 91 or 92. I said, hey, I said, pay 99. She says, why? I said, Allah had 99 names. And she bought that, the whole thing. She bought it, and we paid for 99 kids. So that's what we are doing every year. Pay 99 scholarship for 99 kids in Africa, baby.
Right. And if everyone did that, there'd be no problem, right? There'd just be no problem, right? It's like when I was doing the homeless thing in New York, I would see these kids just about to ruin their life, like try to, the gang guy gave him a gun to run over and give it to Bobby. And no, this kid's running through the streets with a gun. He's going to be stopped by a cop. The cop's going to run the gun, find out someone got murdered with it. The kid's going to jail for life, right? And the guy who really did it gets off. I would grab that kid, break the gun, throw it in the drain, and said, okay, forget, he gave you $10 to do that. No, I'm going to pay you $10 an hour to be my helper. And 128 over a 15-year period, I grabbed 128 kids like that. Gave them a place to stay in in one of the buildings I had, and got to.
I forgot about that. I forgot. No. You don't talk too much about it. You should talk about that because I forgot. You told me that story. You should talk more about that because this is a freaking great story, man.
Right. I do bring it up when it flows across the storyline, but I did it because I was there, and I was talking to somebody last night about this. My life was like that until I died in 2014, right? I mean, it was just a flow. Everything worked. It was like when you and I met at the gathering. It was, I could barely, get around, but I was just getting around. I was doing my thing, and everything flowed. All those people who showed up at my hammock and, I just worked on, it's like it was a flow. Then I died, and it's not a struggle, but it's not that like the dude groovy. I'm in the flow. I mean, I'm always in the flow, but you know what I mean. It's made it a little more edged because now I appreciate things more. Right in the flow, it just flows.
So you died, and they didn't like you there. They returned you to this place.
Yes, yeah. I had to come back.
I like it. So you're too much for them?
No. What happened was I died. I was ready to go. I was tired. I was so overweight. It was like and they said, well, you've been doing a great job. You've done about 89% of what you came here to do. You still just got 11%. And I said, no, I'm tired. And I said, well, then you can stay. Welcome home. But that 11%, you're going to have to go back as somebody, you go into the karmic wheel and be popped out someplace else. And God knows where that's going to be. But if you go back and finish up that 11%, do what you said you would do, when you come back, you can step up, go forward rather than go sideways or backwards or whatever. And so I said, okay. And that's when I popped up on a gurney, about to have my heart ripped out and my legs cut off. And I said, nope, not going to do that. And so from that point on, I had to drag myself back to the specimen you see today. So, and
oh, that's it. So you actually, I forgot the story completely. You brought it up now.
Right.
Yeah, you woke up on the table or something.
Yes, on a gurney. They were rolling me into the operating room, and they had a needle in my arm, and I was, knocked out with fentanyl, and I popped up like Chatty Cathy, saying, "Where am I? What are you doing? You can't do this." And I pulled the needle out of my arm, and everyone totally freaked out. She put me back in that ICU, right? And I had the lawyer who I was working for take care of all the things I needed. And which started my path on to this, right? So I'm so everything I have to deal with, it's not a big deal. The inconvenience, the morons I bump into, they can be annoying, but it's that 11% that I have to kind of deal with, and so it's what it is, right? So that's why I'm here, and I'm gonna make the best of it, have the most fun I can, and make people laugh, and that's why I do the YouTube. I can't travel like I used to. YouTube allows me to do it, so it doesn't go viral or blah blah blah. I don't judge it by that. I judge it by the story I tell and the energy I put into the World Wide Web.
No, I think I'm getting case of herpes from the one that's going, from that video that's going viral for me. I think I got herpes from that.
I wouldn't doubt it. Just don't spread it to your queen, or she'll hit you with a baseball bat.
Oh my God. Hey, okay, man. So listen. So let me go. I have a few things to accomplish today. It's going to be murder today. 99 degrees today in Chicago.
Was it cool?
It's going to be.
Was it cool? Was it cool the last few days? The temperature, was it cool?
It was bearable.
Right. Because here it's been actually cold. Here it's been like last night it was 45 degrees, and yesterday it was a really sweet 70 something. So
What do you mean 45 degrees? You mean go up there, up at your place?
Yeah.
In the mountains, 45?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whoa, that's kind of cold, man.
Yeah. Someone said when we go on the road, we shouldn't share our toothbrush. That's the only comment I got.
Okay.
That's the comment I got. Okay, handsome.
So anyhow, listen.
Yes.
So let me talk about this British dude, man. Okay, so
Oh yeah, that guy.
here he's in England, bitching, complaining. He
Right.
hates the Western world, so soulless people, and nobody has any time for anybody. I don't feel in place. Then he goes back to Pakistan. I think he's scared. He went to visit a few opium dens. He was running himself to the ground.
Right.
And then I think he scammed somebody. He came back to England. I said, listen, man, you're fucking full of shit. I said, you're a little flaky dude, man. He hasn't called me for a while because I told him that. And next time I'm going to tell him even worse. I said, man, first you complain about being in the West. You never want to come back. And a few days later, you're here. What's the deal with you? So anyhow, he's the one who's going to drive us. And this guy is as flaky as they come. But we'll have fun, man. This is going to be fun.
Yes.
I cannot wait to do that.
Yep, sounds like a plan. Okay, Anson.
We are as different as they come. Three Stooges.
Yeah,
baby.
we'll be the Three Stooges. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
I love you.
Talk to you soon, baby.
Yep. Catch you later. So that's my amigo, one of them, my traveling amigos. I've traveled a good distance with him, known him for years, and he's, when you say, oh, it got it tough, I mean, he was in Yugoslavia for the war, so it doesn't get any worse than that. Maryland? No. Marty Yard artist? Tough. So what's so tough? I'm blind, I can't breathe, I can't walk, diabetes, high blood pressure, you name it, I got it. But because I have no money, I don't eat any processed food, so my blood sugar is great. My, my blood sugar is great. It's all how you deal with your life. What perspective you have, right? So I view every day. I wake up in great pain, which enables me to meditate. It gives me that measuring stick, and I basically meditate for half an hour, and instead of bopping up and running around, I meditate, and I get homeostasis in my body. It allows me to feel every cell of my body, and I move forward from there. Right? So what's so tough? I was, in first grade, I was murdered by a nun. She crushed my esophagus, broke the little horseshoe in this ear, and broke the orbit in my eye. That's why I'm getting it operated on. And, but, I couldn't see out of that eye for a good 20 years until I, really focused on, I had a great healing teacher, and he showed me that our bodies are not our bodies, and that through energetic meditation, you can heal anything, right? And that's what Wilhelm Reich did, and look what happened to Wilhelm. And the same thing with Rudolf Steiner, and Tesla, and a whole bunch of other people who, realized these great truths and were punished for it, right? So that's the lesson we have to learn: is charity, grace, humility, and hospitality. And those truths will get you through anything, right? So you want a prayer? Here we go. Breathe deep. Focus your conscious mind on your breath. Let go through your breath all anxiety and fear and troubles. Let that toughness turn into an opportunity for you to learn and become better than you are. Okay? So that's the lesson of today. Got anything else to say? What is your name? Marty Yard? Artist? Who knows? Well, all of those who have watched or will watch, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. Okay. And you're welcome. In every day and every way, take the peace of the earth and make it stronger. For you are a servant of love's co-creation. You know, as we were talking, that your soul is, you know, your body. You are not your body. You're not even your soul. Your soul is just a server taking the information of this incandescent experience into your Akashic record, which allows your higher self, your photonic spirit, which is all our relations, you know, and we're all God's favorites. Well, you know, God, I don't like using the word God because in Sumerian it means lover of gold. So, I mean, that's why Jesus threw the money changers out of the temple. You know, it's Babylon banking, you know, fractionalized banking. And it makes our souls a transactional thing, you know. It makes heaven a gated community, right? So, and that's not what you're here for. You're not here to be a mercantile servant to, you know, the love of gold. You know, the golden rule. Who has the gold rules? Yes, loves. Yeah. Okay. So, artist in the first person. Where are you at this time? You in America? You in Europe? You in Asia? Where are you at? Cheers. You Scottish, English, or Irish? You know, Slán go Fóill. New York, Queens. Holy moly, I'm a New Yorker. You can get a hold of me at the dudeawake42 at Gmail, and maybe a little phone number, and we can talk on the phone. When I was an artist, you know, I was one of the guys, the first people. I was living in the Lower East Side, Avenue B and 9th Street with Allen Ginsberg. I mean, we were, you know, apartment mates. We had a really amazing apartment, an amazing garden in the back. This was a building that had been, it's right across what is now, I don't know if it still is, the Christador House. That had been a hospital. And they took it and turned it into condos. And the big, what's her name, Madonna, bought one of the first places there. But across the street was this nuns convent. And the real estate company I worked for turned it into apartments. And Alan had the apartment above me that had been the kitchen and the bathroom and the library of this nunnery. And there was a staircase from his apartment down into mine, and I had like a railroad flat. You know what a railroad flat is? You know, just looked like, you know, a rectangle, period, you know. And, you know, I could, you know, he could smell me cooking. And I was, you know, those apartments that aren't in the basement, but they're not on the first floor, right? And you're right, you know, so your windows are at sidewalk level so you can watch people's kneecaps go by. Tompkins Square Park. Yep, that was right across from us. Right. And that's where the Irish draft rebellion started. You know, the movie Gangs of New York really pegged all of that and give a great vision of what America is. That's one of my favorite movies. When I used to teach history, I did it by showing movies, right? I threw the text. I said, no textbooks, no tests, no quizzes. We're just going to watch movies and then talk about it. And so, yes, Tompkins Square Park. And the band shell there, we put on many events there. And the 6th Street Garden, you know, the 6th Street Garden. And the whole, you know, homesteading, you know, that was part of that homesteading scene in the late 70s, early 80s. We took over 50 buildings. And I was part of a thing called Collaborative Artist Projects, CoLab. And we had a Manhattan cable TV show called Potato Wolf. I had a art gallery with Louis Tropia and Yuri Kapalov on 6th Street called Sixth Sense. And I had another gallery down called No Say No, which is part of that. And another gallery in Soho. When I lived, I had a great loft on Worcester Street between Spring and Broome. And these friends of mine, Phil and Jane Bear, we had the Una Bear Gallery on the corner of West Broadway and Broome Street, right where all the traffic comes along, that comes from the Williamsburg Bridge to go into the tunnel into New Jersey. And they had a window that was above the sidewalk level. And so Jane and Phil did a installation piece where they locked themselves in this little box in that window, was naked and had sex for a whole month, right? And the only people who could see them were people in Greyhound buses and tractor trailer drivers. And the traffic would like inch along to go into the tunnel all day long. And Phil and Jane would be, doing the Kama Sutra. And that was, and we got an NEA grant for that. And the best thing, Jane got pregnant from that. And Una Bear, the first child of Phil and Jane, popped out. And that was, what's the email again? The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And if you want to throw something in my PayPal, I would truly love it because I now have about $37 in my checking account until the 5th of next month. And I get my Social Security, which is kind of, in these days of inflation, my check ain't going that far. Last month I spent almost half of it on just gasoline. So those times were special. Between 1963 and 1988, those times were special. And let's see. I think I have some photos that you may not have seen. Let's see. Yes, here we go. This is 1984. Members of the Living Theater. There's me and my niece and a friend who was like hitting on her. And this is Mary Boone. She had she was one of the first people to have a art gallery in, a big time art gallery. She was 57th Street art gallery lady, big money art gallery, right? And this is these two are good friends of mine. This guy was a video guy. This guy was, I forget her name, but she was a sweetie. And here's Louis Tropia. He worked for A&R, and he was a producer, and he was like one of the fathers of punk music. And he started CBGBs, right? Now there's another guy who's the front guy, but he was the guy with the juice, and I was the guy who wired it and cleaned it out, kind of gave it the aesthetic. And there's me again. This is me in my 40s. This is what I look like in my 40s. That looked pretty good in my 40s. And I had an electric business. I had a bunch of businesses. Plus, I was a housing guy. So here I am with one of my video cameras. I was a Vidiot. And here's Marissa. She was like the patron saint of the homesteading scene. And she was just the sweetest Swami mommy there was. She did all the gardening. Here's me and Garrick Beck. Beck is, the self-professed father of the Rainbow Gatherings, and he's also the son of Julian Beck and Judith Molina of the Living Theater. Here's Christine, and she is the smartest human on earth. If you've ever seen a Pixar movie, that little lamp was her PhD thesis at Stanford, And she was the first person to make an algorithm to be able to animate in 3 dimensions in any direction without having to like stop and put in a new algorithm. So pretty much all computer graphics is based on her thing. That made her top dog in that scene of SIGGRAPH. But Stanford, because she was getting her PhD there, said, "Oh, we own that." Right? And every time she got into the corporate world, so here's Carrie Shea, the most powerful woman in politics in New York in the 70s and 80s. Sarah Ferguson, who helped start Brooklyn Academy of Music, and Sweet Rita, my second wife. And so those were 3 women. And so this was I had a restaurant called the Dumpster Dive, and it was down in Avenue D. And this is what the restaurant looked like from the street. You had to go down the alley, which we turned into Garden of Paradise. You kind of went past the garbage dumpster, and then behind it was this amazing, beautiful garden and grass, and went to this gate. And this was the other side of that wall, this restaurant, the Dumpster Dive. And we basically were just there for meals during the week from 1 to 6. And on Sunday, all the rich swells came down from uptown, and we had a brunch to end all brunches, right? And because it was, off the cuff, there's Christine again. And so this girl, she didn't fit in with the human race too well, but she loved me. And for 3 years, I showed her what being a human being was like, and she loved it. But so here's one of my best friends. I've known this guy almost pushing on 60 years, and that's his oldest daughter, who's a big-time lawyer in New York now. And here's James back there, who's a big-time zillionaire banker in Europe. And here is, what's this guy's name? I forget his name. But he was a really uptight professor at NYU, right? And I was just sitting in on his class, and he said it was a class on sociology. And he was going, "Why are you here? You're smarter than I am. You do more than I do." And then he started to, "I have no life. I want to be like you." So I said, "Well, come on." And I took him to this, trans club, and someone dosed him, and he was never the same. And so he truly, he also had a MD in psychotherapy, so he could prescribe whatever drug he wanted. He was, so he went whole hog into that. So here's Donna Ann, my first wife. A world famous photographer. We had DNA Studios in New York, and here she is juggling. We had been part of the Circus Oz in Australia, and everyone in the frigging circus could juggle but me. I just couldn't do it. I could ride a unicycle, right? Here's Dave. He's one of my cohorts. I taught him to be, he's a master electrician in New York. He's also a bard and a number of other things. Here I am on my beach. I had my own beach right next to East Hampton, 100 acres of beachfront property. There's my dog Jack, and I'm naked, right? And it's my property. I can be naked, right? You can kind of see, there were all these old, like pre-revolutionary, pre-Civil War buildings all over Eastern Long Island, because Eastern Long Island was more like Massachusetts than New York. And I bought them from the county for nothing, and brought them over to the beach and stuck them on the beach and fixed them up real fancy. And I was going to make $1 zillion, and my dad pulled the plug on it because he was freaking out that. So here's a guy who has a Pulitzer Prize, and there's my godson. You can tell that he's totally blotto. And there's my youngest sister's daughter, and she's used to it, so she's not as blotto. And so this is my abandoned building apartment in the Lower East Side on 13th Street between A and B. And so here's that night, right? And she was, she was drinking everyone under the table, and she was doing pretty good. Here are old Herbert Berghoff Studios. These folks used to teach there, and I was their TD. when I was like 16. Here's Julian Schnabel. Here's me and Julian. And John Bowman. So these guys are super famous. But, you know, I was the dude. They were just becoming super famous. So here is a piece of my art that was in the Whitney Annual, right? And I never signed on. No, the guy who owned 420, he was, oh, this is great. Let me be. I said, sure, you can. You know how I made money from him. This is Ivan Karp. You know, I had all these other galleries that I was trying to get all these people who wanted to be shown, and no one would show them in these galleries. So he would come, and he would, you know, that was like his new stable of artists. And he paid me, he paid the rent, the electric bill, all this stuff. And because we had a nonprofit, he would donate money, like under, you know, without screaming, I'm giving money to these guys. So he funded that whole Soho, Tribeca, Lower East Side art scene, you know, between 68 and 88, right? And he was a great guy. A lot of people had a hard time with him, but he and I got along great. And so he would just buy this stuff from me, right? And because I never signed on to be one of his ponies, because you do that, it changes your life. You know, I couldn't be the dude, right? Here's self-portrait. So this is all before. I'm taking all these pictures with a throwaway camera, right? Oh, here's George Safrini, and he became ABC's Nightline. You know, he was an associate producer, and then he became head guy. So he was our one of our guys who did Potato Wolf. So he was a real, you know, he knew about TV, right? So here's Lewis, and this guy is Chipmunk. He's the voice of the Fillmore East. Like, have you ever heard the record of Janis Joplin and the voice, Janis Joplin and the Holding Company? That's this guy. And he was also the voice of Woodstock, right? And so he also slept on my couch in my abandoned building for a year. So he, you know, interesting guy. So here's something. So, you know, I was a real painter. So here's a mural I did. And this was an abandoned building. This is for a fundraiser for. This was during Iran-Contra times, before people knew Iran-Contra was going on. But this is when it was going on, and the death squads and all of that, and in El Salvador, all the stuff that were, the border is so. We precipitated that. So we did this mural, and I couldn't get anybody to help me. And this thing was coming, and they wanted a backdrop. So I didn't have anything except a bunch of, you know, just paint that people drew out in dumpsters. And I painted this, and I basically used my fingers, right? And masking tape, right? So that's a good, you know. And here's Carrie Shea, one of the most powerful people in New York. And she had me, this lady is from, you know, she is a Chinese diplomat. Oh. And here's me doing another, again, we were doing this thing for the NEA. And I wanted to turn this just torched abandoned building into like something amazing. So I just, you know, stuck up some sheetrock and started painting these paintings, right? And this guy was from Niska, and he was like, had his little career on the line. So he came to, and he said, where are we having the party? And I took him to this abandoned building that was just like about to fall apart because it was torched. And I stuck, you know, 2x3 steel studs up, tracks and things, and then screwed sheetrock to it, and then put a hung ceiling on it and put track light on it, like, and left half of it just torched, right? And then I painted all these paintings on it, and I did it like in 2 days, like about 6 amazing. It was like going to church, right? And so he was painting all the sheetrock white while I was painting the paintings. And I'm a big fan of perspective. So this guy, he's, you know, he was one of the Beats, the youngest of the Beats. And he was also a good friend of Andy Warhol's. And so he had one foot in the Andy Warhol world, one foot in the poetry beat world, and one foot in the, he was a political operative just like Harry Shea. And so he was another really behind the scene guy. And I had to sign. He always wore sunglasses, and I had to sign a non-disclosure form to never mention his name. Let's see. Oh, here we are. We had a zine, and these two girls wanted to be publishers, and now they're big time publishers in California. And here's Jerry, my Donna's first cousin, and he came and lived with me when he was about 19 or 20 in New York. He stayed a whole year, and we changed him from a frightened little English boy to Jed, right? And this is kind of, this is when I was in my cowboy stage, for about a year, about 1987. And this is up in the South Bronx. This Central Park, the Living Theater had a nice little thing there. Here's this guy, he was a mathematician. He was going to NYU, then he was going to go to MIT, but he wanted to be an artist in the first, and express who he really was, right? And so this picture here, this is a Mossad assassin. And this was one of my zombie nightclubs. And this was for transgendered assassins, mercs, right? And so they would disguise, and it's very much like the Hellfire Club. So everybody wore a costume, right? So they wouldn't be recognized. And so this was again, Beth Bees, one of my sweeties, and we did the American Dance Festival, right? And we had the Spanish, Hispanic poetry and music alive. That's our band and poets. Here's John again, John Birmingham, and these guys. Oh, he's not wearing his sunglasses, but this guy's old school rich guy who bought art, right? And had been in the scene since like the 50s. So here is John Cale of the Velvet Underground, and the assassin who was sent to kill me, right? And that's a whole long story. Here's Judy Collins, hanging out in the basement of Studio 54, and Rob, that's the guy's name. So he just kept going deeper and deeper. And that song Maggie May? This is Maggie May right here, the original, right? And what else? Again, that burned out. This was where I brought the Rich Swills to experience life past being the Rich Swills. Here's Judith Molina, a founder of Living Theater. And here's more Living Theater folk and HB Studio folk. And this is 1988. This guy was a pretty interesting guy. He was a real computer geek, and he made a fortune with HP. He was one of their original digital artists, right? And I met him through my friend Christine, and she said, you need to, let this guy live in one of your abandoned buildings and soften him up into a human being. So that's what I did. And here's amazing Pat, still my friend. I've probably known her 50 years at least. And there's Dave. And so here is, this is Stephanie Shub, a most amazing woman I lived with for about a year and a half and had a relationship for about 5. So this is our loft. I got a loft in Westbeth for being the dude. And she and I lived there. And in the end, I gave it to her. Right? And so, and that's a whole long story. So here's one of my Tesla coils, a quite large one. And I used to use it in performance art. I'd be like Tesla throwing lightning bolts. And so here is I worked with a study group that DARPA had. And our laboratory was in the basement of a high price spread condo across the street from Lincoln Center. And so, and that's why I know technology is not the problem. There's free energy. Here is double Dr. Sandra Danini, who, and this, here is Chris. She was the head of the NYU. She had more doctors than you can imagine. She was an MD doctor. She's psychotherapist. She was head of psychotherapy in New York State, and she was the only sane psychotherapist I knew, right? And I learned all I know about psychotherapy from her, right? And here is one of Joan Jett's buddies, and they were a thing, and I was their lunch meet in between, right? So we did all this theater anywhere. And here's what's his name, Carlos Santamon of the Alchemical Theater, that we had in one of our abandoned buildings, and we would do theater everywhere, just on the street, right? And because you turn all the lights off in the street, and then light it theatrically, and you can. It's the lighting that makes the mystery. So here's us doing Potato Wolf, and there's Coca Crystal, and this guy is Mr. Tweak, and this guy sold more cocaine at Studio 54 than anybody else, and she was the major seller of marijuana in New York City, and this is all in the late 70s. Who knows where they are now? Here's us breaking into the building that became the Dumpster Dive Cafe, and see, here's our homestead meetings, and here's us, taking over the building and building a whole. This was all burnt out, so we're building a floor. We're teaching people how to be carpenters, electricians, plumbers. Here's me putting in so how our housing thing succeeded was I, being a master electrician, licensed, insured, and had been doing work for Grandpa Stahl for 20 years, and knew everybody, and city, inspectors, and they respected it. And whatever I did, they always, Alex did it, no problem. I have that kind of integrity. Never took a bribe, was always on time, on budget. Anyway, so I put licensed electricity into all these abandoned buildings. So everybody who had an apartment had a meter, and the the platinum card of this says I legally live here is having an electric bill. So I did that to maybe 500 apartments, and got 500 people a place that they still own today, thus giving them what the only our Constitution basically states the only people who have any rights are those who own land. So New York, right? Some of the stupid people sold their things, but we started our own bank, and everyone who was part of the housing authority, their collateral was their property. And in 2011, I went to one of my godchildren's wedding. She goes, "You're the closest thing I have to a father. I want you to walk me down the aisle." So I did, and I hadn't been back to New York since 1988. And I was walking down Avenue A, and this woman comes out and goes, "Al, where have you been?" I said, "Well, not here." And she goes, "You know what day it is?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "This is our 30th anniversary of the credit union. The 8 of us started a credit union." And she was a banker, so she still was, but she's 30 years old, right? She was 40 when we started. She, 30 years, she's like in her 70s, and she's still running the credit union. And she goes, "Guess how much money we have in the bank?" I said, "I have no idea." And she goes, $1 billion. I said, "Whoa." And she goes, "It's not in the piggy bank." She goes, and that's why the Lower East Side, that's why Avenue A and B and C and D looks like, Rodeo Drive, is because all of those businesses are basically owned by people who were part of our housing authority and bought got money, invested, through our credit union and put their kids through college, started businesses, all of that. That's where the $1 billion was. And the rest of the world could do that, but monetized reality won't let it happen. You basically end up like John Birmingham, the canary in the coal mine. So, and that's where we are, right? And so let's see, how much juice do I have left? Oh, just about to run out, so I'm going to have to get on my way. What time is it? It's pushing towards 1 o'clock. Yes. So, you sent me an email. Okay. So let's see if I can see if you're there. Come on. Come on. Thank you for being you. Is that you? Thank you for being you. Share your art. Okay. Please enjoy. Okay. Let's see. Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I don't do social media. So, yes. Okay. So I'm going to go back and. Whoops. I'm going to reply right now. Hey, Mr. Artist, thanks for emailing me, and now we can have a nice conversation. Why don't you send me your phone number? I'll give you a call later. And I live out in the woods, so when I'm in the woods, it's a real, maybe 20% of the time I can grab a signal, and I have to come out here. Now I have no money really for gas, but you send me the email of your phone number like now, and I'll call you before I go back in the woods. Or if you do it the next, this week, I'll call you after I am out of the operating room, a day or two once I get better. Okay, so talk to you later. Buddy, your symbol of your arm, that's almost exactly. I took the logo from the IBEW, which I was I guess I don't know if I'm still a member, but I was at that time. And the IBDE logo is this arm with lightning bolts all around it. So Collaborative Artists Projects logo, which still is that arm with the lightning bolts. So go look up Collaborative Artists Projects, right? And the TV program on Manhattan Cable called Potato Wolf. Well, that was pleasant, like quality over quantity every time. So, Mr. Artist, cheers to you. And I got your email, and I just sent you one. So this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Right? And you're right where you are. You can come visit. Half the people I talk to are like in other countries, and so. But if you got wheels, come and get me. Let's take a road trip. Let's go on the road. I don't know if you watched the earlier part of the show. My friend from the Baltic states, he's a real traveler, and we've traveled a great deal. And we're looking for somebody with a car. He has this really anal retentive, selfish, stupid person that we can make fun of, and which would be Freudenscheider, and good grist for the mill of a TV show. But if you're an artist and you want to take a road trip, towards the end of July, because he's heading for the Rainbow Gathering, and I'm heading to the operating room, and probably my body will be ready to do something exciting towards the end of July. So that's the story. I'll talk to you later. And like I said, give me a phone number and I'll give you a call. Okay. Bye.